We are busy with analytical geometry, which in grade 12 is more focused upon circles. And the circle has a specific formula, namely the circle's formula is?
X minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals to r squared.
So if the question is, please find me the equation of the circle, you might even have a mark if you just wrote that. 10 to 1 not, but okay. Then you need to know that that A and B represents the center. So now if I substituted in, there was a trick to it. You had to know that that would mean x plus 1, because the formula shows you, the original formula shows you that you're always going to change the sign, which will then be squared plus y minus g squared, and the answer for r squared is only 6, because I didn't leave a lot of space for myself there. But you're substituting r with root 6 and then squaring that. So that is your formula. So if I started off with the sum, you would know that the center is -1, +2, and that the radius is the root of 6. Are you with me?
Yes,
Easy
ma'am.
peasy, 2 marks. Let's have a look at the next one, because the next question said to me, please find me the center and the radius. So now it's in this form. So what is the center, please?
0 and 1.
Why 0? Because you should know if it's x squared, it's actually x plus 0 squared, which you don't have to write. You don't have to write that, but you know that the center is then, oh, shall we say -0? That's ridiculous. Okay? And
1
And the radius
is 9.
is 9, not plus minus. Shouldn't we be saying square root of 81? Plus minus?
No, already.
The math is right, plus
positive.
minus, but we're busy with the radius of a circle, which cannot be negative, so that's why only 9.
9.
Alright, let's have a look at number 5. Says A and B form the diameter of a circle, and M is the center of the circle. Now guys, in general, you don't really get sums like this in a question paper. They love to give you a sketch. And the sketch is going to get more complex as we go along, because you know the sketch from last year. You get like a parabola, not a parabola, parallelogram with some straight lines cutting through it, and I ask you what's the distance here, what's the gradient there, what's the center here, all the stuff that you know, collinear points, parallel lines, everything on one sketch. And they love to do this as well. So normally they sketch you a circle with all sorts of stuff in there. Now you're welcome to sketch it, but remember in the exams you don't have time to waste. So if you wanted to go sketch this and see the point 1 and A, the problem is you don't know where A is. So if you are on a Cartesian plane and you know that X is 1, then where's Y? Can be anywhere there. So you don't know to sketch it. The other point, 6 and -2, that's okay. 6 and -2 should be round about there somewhere.
Ma'am,
like
A
that.
is 5. It's A is 0 and A. A is 0 and A.
Why did they then ask you for A? There was a mistake, so this is 0 and A. Okay, so I don't know. 0 on the X and A should still be somewhere, anywhere on that Y axis. So to sketch it, okay, I can't really sketch it because I don't know where that A is. But they say that it forms the diameter, and then that is the center of the circle. And they're asking you to find out A and M. So if I know that this is the center of the circle, do I need to get to the circle formula? What's going on here? How will I be able to find A or M or both?
You have the radius.
Help me? So if you have A and B, I don't know what it looks like, but then the center of the circle going through those 2 points, wherever they may be, should be the center of the line A, B. So you don't need to work with the circle formula there. You've got to work with the center of a line. So if the line has 2 points, how would you get to the center?
Linear.
So you've got your the midpoint or the center of AB. the midpoint of the center of AB would then be, do we still write x1 plus y1 over 2 plus semicolon? You're allowed to, but it actually wastes time because you just need to know if you want the center, well, how do you do it? You just take the 0 and the 6 and you add them and divide by 2, giving you 3. Are you with me? So that would mean n is 3. Are you with me here? Because this is the center. So if I take the two x values, 0 and 6, and divided by 2, and then a and negative 2 and divided by 2, this answer should be equal to m negative 2. Do you remember those converse backwards sums where I give you the center and you've got to get the other stuff? So we're getting, in this case, 3 over 2. No, 3 over 2. Just 3, sorry. And then for this one, how do I do that? Let's complete the sum. I've written way too much in there, but let's get into it. So we've got 3 as the value for m. So I'm making a deduction. Then the center here should be 3. M is 3. They're asking me for m, and they're asking me for a. And a would be what? A negative 2 over 2 would be equal to negative 2. So that answer there should be equal to negative 2. This answer 3 should be the answer for m. So m is 3. That fraction should be negative 2. Out of that, it's a little bit more work. I've just got to find out my value of a. So it's going to be a minus 2 equal to negative 4 when you multiply, solving a little equation. And we've got plus with 2, so we've got negative 2. So what do we know? That the center of this circle is m, which was 3, and negative 2. And do we know the radius? Because I'm looking for the circle's equation. Oh, no. I still have to do what? Distance formula. Or what can I do? Here, substitution. Guys, different variations. Are you allowed, because I was thinking, radius to work it out, how would you do that? Once you know what this is, you can get the distance between them for the radius. You could even go back to A and get the distance between the two. If you know that the distance of the diameter is 6, then the radius is 3, you could do that. So you could use the distance formula. But a very good idea is once I know what the center is, go to the formula. Am I allowed to write it like this? Without writing the formula first.
Class busy with extra classes, you go and wait on the pavilion at the big trainer gate. As jy nie besig is met extra klasse nie, in 'n klas nie, wag jy op die paviljoen by die big trainer hek. Niemand is tussen die geboue. If you're not in a class, busy with extra class, you go and wait on the pavilion for your transport. You're not allowed to be between the classes.
Circle, I've got the center after working hard for it. I only need R, and this is a principle that you were taught in all of your graphs. If you have a formula and there's how many variables? One, there's not 3. X and Y are part of the formula, so they're not variables. R is the only variable, and to find one variable, we always do it by substitution of a point. Which point? Can I use M? Why not? Because it's in the center of the circle, it's not on the circle. You can only substitute something on the circle or on whatever figure you're busy with. So I've got a choice of what? Either A, that was 0 and negative 2, which I think is going to work easier maybe, but it's really not an issue with the circle substituting 6 and negative 2. Maybe you thought to yourself, maybe I made a mistake working out that A value, so let's rather go for B. It doesn't matter. Both of them must work out the same answer for you. So 6 and negative 2. Any value of any point on the circle circumference. So I'm substituting X with 6, and I'm substituting Y with negative 2, and then This is 3 squared, which is 9. This falls away because it's 0 squared. And the answer there is r squared. So if r squared is 9, then what is r? Now, I want to say, you could have then said to me, but ma'am, I'm looking for the equation of the circle, right? Do I really want to know what the radius is?
No.
You need to tell me r is 3. If you don't write r is 3, you'll lose no marks. Because you just need to get to the equation of the circle. And the equation of the circle then would be x minus 3 squared, and I'm using my space here, is equal to 9. Because I needed to know what is r squared. And once I have r squared, I can write down the equation. So my equation of my circle is what I knew from the start. And now that I found r squared, I just need to put in r squared. Did I ask you for the radius? Then you have to say the radius is 3. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
If you did write it, no problem. Radius is 3, but your equation is still has got a 9 there. Okay. This question said it didn't give you a sketch, but it helps you a little bit just to focus on what's happening here. Because I said that 4, 3 is the center of the circle, so obviously it's going to say the circle around it. But they also said that this circle touches the y-axis. So if it touches the y-axis and this is 4 units, and this is 3, then it should be doing this. Do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Because then this would be 3 units, and this would be 4. And that's actually all that I need, because I need to know what is the radius.
It's 4.
And the radius is 4. And the radius will still be 4 there. Up to there it's 3, and then that would be 1 unit. But you've got to know what you're doing. It just helps you if you can see it for yourself. So the formula is x minus 4 and y minus 3. And the r squared, do I need to calculate it?
No.
Because I can't calculate it by substituting a point in, because I don't have points, right? Not really. If you wanted to, you could tell me that this is the point, 0 and 4. And if you did substitute it in, you'll still get that this part here is your radius squared, which your radius is 4, which makes it 16. That's it. Easy. Once you have the insight into it. Happy on that?
Yes,
Alright, then this next question says, I've got 2 circles. One circle is circle A, and that one is circle B. And this is in general what they do in tests with you. They give you one that you cannot see the center of. And then they give you one that you can. So if in that case you wanted the center of that circle, it's like so easy. They say, find me the center of circle A, and then also the radius. So what do I need to do for that? I'm going to put that sum here. Find me the center and the radius. Let's do it over here. What do I need to do for that? What is my technique that I'm using? Completing the square. So you can bet money on it. Analytical geometry, you're going to have one that you've got to do completing the square. I taught you it's better for you to go write it in the correct order or in a better order, because there's nothing wrong with that order. To have the x's together and the y's together, and then put that 71. Oh, but something's wrong with the sum. The radius is negative.
It can't be.
That's not the radius. Because I want you to feel that and hear that and think that and then realize, but this isn't the radius. Because this thing hasn't been written correctly yet, so that you can see that this is the radius. Because you did have that feeling about negative, can't be? Are you with me? Right. Now it's just written in the correct form, so that I can go say, do completing the square by saying, if this is a 1, if this is a 1, and in general it is, we saw last week, say for instance, I timed the whole thing with 2 and times with 2 and times with 2 everywhere, then you would just divide it by 2, so that would make it easier. If you do have the 1 there, you look at the coefficient of x, which is negative 20, and what do you do with the negative 20?
Times the half and square it.
Okay, whichever technique you were taught, I don't care, it's fine, as long as you can give me the correct completed in the square form. So if you get that answer, it's 100, right?
Yes.
So it's plus 100, which is incorrect mathematically. I can't just put something into the sum
Plus
unless I do it on both
Sides.
sides, or you can put it over here and say minus. But I would like to put it all together because that trinomial there is going to give me the completed square. And once you know how it works, you'll see it's always like this recipe. So you've got the square root of x squared is x. You've got the sign, which is negative. You've got the square root, which is 10. Like I said, if you have another technique, keep to it. As long as you can give me x minus 10 squared, I'm happy with you. Okay? For the rest of it then, for this one, I'm still shorting its partner here by saying 8 again, times with a half and squaring it, will give me 16. So I'm adding another 16 on the other side. So we've got completing the square plus, and then this will be y plus 4. Because the technique is square root of the first one, the sine of the second one, and the square root of the third one. And please don't forget things like the square. If it's a writing error, they do overlook it, but please make sure that you're working accurately. Please give an answer for this. 45.
45.
45. All right? And does it have to be a perfect square?
No.
So the root, the radius is going to be root 45, which is root
3 root 5.
3 root 5. Which is the better way of writing it? It doesn't matter. Just see what your question said. This one said nothing. Usually in the beginning of the paper they say, where necessary, write your answer to 2 decimals. Do you think it's necessary?
No.
Do you think if you wrote root 45, they would have given you 4 marks? Because you didn't really do anything. But if they said write it in the simplest third form, you can't leave it as root 45. So be careful, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I answer the question?
No.
The center of A, and then normally what they do is they call that center point A as well. Okay, normally we call it O if it's on the origin. But if they talk about a circle A, then normally the center is called A. Unless they said, find the center of P, then we would call it P. And the answer here is
10 negative 4.
Excellent. Now the second part of the question said, find me the distance between A and B. Find me the distance between A and B. So B would mean I'm looking for the center again of this circle. And for this circle, what is the center?
2 and 0.
2 and 0. Please don't mix it up. And this one's radius
It's root 5.
is root 5. Did they ask me for that?
No.
They just said find me the distance between A and B. So first of all, I had to get the A, which I got in the previous question. I had to now get the B so that the distance between A and B will be. Grade 10 work? Can it still be asked? Yes. How many marks?
3.
Correct formula and substitution? Answer. Not those long ones where you substitute, show all your calculations, get to the answer. So if B, and I always like to do this, I like to write A 10 negative 4 and that together here so that I don't miss, take something where I shouldn't. So the formulas are and who can still remember where that comes from? Distance formula. It's actually Pythagoras. Why? Because if I'm looking at A and B and I want that distance there, what would be this? This distance would be the distance between this one's x and this one's x. So if you subtract the two from each other, have you seen it?
Yes, ma'am.
And that distance there would be the distance between this one's y and that one's y. It doesn't matter if I write x1 and x2 swapped around, that's fine. But then if I square this, and I square that, I've got
Hypotenuse.
Pythagoras, the hypotenuse side. You see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So when I do go back to it and I want to work it out, that's where the square root comes from. This distance is. You could have said AB square is, then you would see the Pythagoras. But its distance formula is Pythagoras. Right, then substitution would give me 10 minus 2. And if I did this, you would say, no man, you swapped it around. Technically, I'm not wrong. But don't do stuff like that. Keep to your techniques. Keep to a technique. So we have the distance between the x's, 10 minus 2. The distance between the y's, negative 4 and 0. But you can swap them around. What I'm saying is 10 and 4 should actually both be first. And they should actually both be second. But why isn't it a problem? Because of the square. Don't let me confuse you. Stick to what you know is right. So if it was 10 minus 2, we'd say negative 4, negative 0. I'm just saying because of this formula, it doesn't matter if you swap them around. But you can't have x's and y's in one bracket. That you can't have. And then I actually just want the answer, please.
4 root 5.
4 root
5.
Okay. 4 root 5. Distance between A and B. And then they had question number C. Show that P minus 4 lies on both circles. How would you attempt to do that? Substitute into both. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen? So if you do substitute it back in, you are going to find whether it works or not. So it doesn't matter if it's a circle, or it's a parabola, or it's a straight line. If you want to know if a point lies on a thing, substitute the point into the thing. And if it does make the equation true, then it lies on it. If it doesn't make the equation true, it doesn't lie on it. That's the simple English of it. So go back to circle A. So in circle A, which is this equation, you're going to substitute x minus 10 and y plus 4. You're going to substitute that point in there, and you're going to get 4 minus 10 plus negative 1 plus 4. And that had better be 45. Is it? Yes, ma'am. So what are you deducting? Left hand side is equal to right hand side. You're deducting that P lies on circle A. And you're going to do exactly the same thing for circle B. So we're substituting into circle B. And at point P of 4 and negative 1. So we're back at circle B, which is this one. X is then 4 minus 2. Are you following me here? Yes. This little space. So substituting the x with a 4 and the y with a negative 1. And again, I'm saying, if they say prove it is, it should is. Are you with me? If they say, is it? Then the answer could be yes, it is, or no, it's not. In general, technically, they shouldn't say, is it? If they shouldn't say prove it is if it isn't. If they say prove it is, it should is. Wrong. Are you hearing what I'm saying in the wrong way so that you can remember it? So is it 2 squared plus 1 is 5? And saying again that P lies on? That's a silly question. But that can be applied anywhere. That if you want to know if a point lies on a thing, doesn't matter if it's a circle, a straight line, or a what, and it makes the equation true, it satisfies the equation, then you say that it is on the circle H. Going on to tangents, A tangent to a circle, what does that let you think of?
Circle theorem.
Geometry, right? Okay, so analytical geometry has got some geometry in it. So very often in analytical you are asked to prove a rhombus or a sphere or prove it says whatever. Then you still have to do a little bit of geometry as well. So it is going to be with a circle as well, but you're going to use a little bit of geometry. And the theorem that you most often then will use is the fact that the tangent is perpendicular to the radius. So in this question, if I'm helping you with that, the question was, find me the equation of BT. So I need, not BT, AT, sorry. Find me the equation of the tangent. Now a tangent is a what? Is a straight line. Very importantly, a tangent is a straight line. So definitely you've got to have y equal to mx plus c somewhere. And guys, you've been taught y minus y1 and mx minus okay, you can have it like that as well. As well, and it's even on your formula sheet. I personally never use that one. There's nothing wrong with it. I just feel that if I take a grade 10 or 11 child and still give him another formula, I'd rather just stick to one, and you are perfectly allowed to use both of them. Just so that you know you're allowed to use it. So if I want the straight line equation, I need to know that it is mx plus c. But for that straight line, what has it got to do with the circle at all?
Tangent.
The fact that it's perpendicular to the radius. So if I knew what the radius gradient, because perpendicular in analytical geometry should immediately take your mind to being brainwashed. Perpendicular tells you something about the gradients. If it's perpendicular, then the gradients, when you multiply them, gives you -1. So this should happen here. That if I've got the gradient of the radius, and I can get the radius of the tangent, they should be, when you time them, -1. So if the one is plus 2 over 3, the other one will be -3 over 2 to make up that product of -1. Are you with me here? Always in the question paper. This thing about parallel and perpendicular. Parallel lines, same gradient. It's not going to apply here. Perpendicular, the radiuses are inverse of each other and negative of each other. So what can I find out? The gradient of the radius. If I have it and it's plus 3 over 2, then this will be -2 over 3. So what do I need? Gradient of the radius, and you can write radius or you can write OA if you want. But the radius gradient would be, do they give you a mark for the formulas?
Yes.
Especially if it's the old formulas, guys, they don't. Normally what the memo says is substitution into the correct formula. So if you just wrote 15 minus 0 over 8 minus 0, and you could even have known that, guys, on different ways. I'm saying again, alternative. I'm not going to break your brain now. But it's 15 over 8. Then what should my gradient of my tangent be? -8 over 15. Oh, it doesn't look so nice. Who cares? It's a fraction and that's it. So that your tangent equation will be y equal to mx plus c. Do I have c for some sort of a reason? No. All I know, it should be larger than 15. Does it make sense if you look at the logic behind it? But coming back to basic principles of graphs, how many variables are there? One. How do we find the one variable? Substitution of what? A point on that thing. That thing is the tangent, and this is on that thing, so I can substitute 8 and 15. Right? So in the place of y, 15, and in the place of x, 8. So that C is equal to, I don't know, a large thing. Give me an answer, please. 15 plus 64 over 15.
It's 289
Over 15. Okay, so the equation of AT, or just the tangent, would be gradient, negative 8 over 15, plus C, which is 289 over 15. And that was the equation of the tangent.